Hey everybody, it's the Last Robo-Kai here, and it's time for more Let's Play Fate Samurai Remnant. Last time we had the climax of the chapter, and a lot of things happened, and a lot of characters made some appearances there. And it ended with a giant flying boat in the sky.
I'm still reeling from the damn boat.
So that's like a whole thing that we're going to have to find out about. So let's get stuck in. Did I introduce you, Cool Guy? This is Cool Guy. Everyone loves Cool Guy.
Yeah, well, I've already said something, and I've revealed that I'm stuck up on the boat, which was basically giant boat shows up, refuses to comment further, leaves. Like that was the end of last chapter, and that was more than my heart could bear.
Yeah, it's time to find out what's happened to. Time to find out what has happened to Iori and Saber since the boat incident. So let's get stuck straight in.
吉原の花高尾太夫との約定により由井小説の行方を探る伊織とセイバーだがその行く手を豪華が阻む遠佐の声に応じるがごとく群がり集う義の担い手たち思惑渦巻く戦場にて影が迫る
It's kind of wild to think that we're only just now in chapter 2 after everything that's happened.
I swear to God, if she's smelling dinner.
どこからともなく漂ってくる
Of course she's smelling dinner! After all that.
Yeah, we're in a completely different location now.
Well, at least Iori's on my side with this, though.
雨に襲われたかと思えばたちまち隙をつかれあれよという間に連れ去られ見知らぬ屋敷の見知らぬ座敷に通された
No sense in worrying about what you can't control, huh, Iori?
それも相当に使う何者かだ
He's feeling a little intimidated.
このありさまでその余裕ぶりとはまた
この香り
I'm not more intimidated because there is really good food here.
異なるがとても食欲をそそる構想の類だろうか
セイバ
I get the feeling that Saber would just absolutely go gonzo for cilantro.
隙をつかれたのも誰かの手の内にあるのも君だけだ私は弱いよりに付き合わされている身でそれ以上でも以下でもない
I'm not kidnapped, you're kidnapped is a hell of an argument. Not wrong though.
Oh, here we go.
俺の話をしているようだな
Two very protagonist-looking motherfuckers just walking
Yeah,
up in the
no
room.
joke.
遅れてすまなかったな
Nobody with eyes that big and a mouth that big is a bad person in anime.
間もなく禅が運ばれてくる
Spoilers, there are lots of
手
bad
際
people
が悪くて
who
恐
look
縮
like
だ
this in
が
anime.
何分人が少なくてな
貴殿がこの屋敷の主か
いかにも俺は帝紫龍が一子帝成功というそして彼は我がサーバ
Yeah,
ント
so we have ourselves a new master and a servant. And let me tell you something, I went looking up information about this bloke.
もよろしく頼むセイバー
He could qualify as a servant in his own right. He's a
That's,
very interesting figure of the time period for Chinese history.
名を知られている
Yeah, I was gonna say, that's definitely a Chinese name, but I don't recognize this cat.
東土のものか
Yeah, like,
それに
he is,
のサーバント
he's got a few names. It seems like the easiest way to sort of pronounce it depends on like, because obviously it's a Chinese name, so
まずは
it's a little tricky, but like Seng Kong seems to be like one of the pronunciations for his
我
name.
らは窮地を救われるも同じだろう
He's often referred to as the Prince of Yanping, and his most famous name is Koksengya.
特に害は感じなかったからな
which is again, forgive me if I mispronounce those horribly. I'm not very good with any form of Chinese dialect. I just you put those in front of me, and I'm just like, oh, I can't.
I'm no better. For what it's worth, like you're not going to catch me embarrassing myself taking an attempt at that name.
では一つずつ答えようじゃないか。
Yes, but the reason why he's so important is he's kind of
まさかのとある屋敷だ。
the last death throes of the Ming dynasty, which was going through a rather unfortunate for them collapse during this time
It
period.
was pretty fortunate for China, but
Yeah, the Ming were very good. They basically
貴殿はむしろ術者という
got themselves into a lot of trouble that they really didn't need to get themselves into, as is many of the cases in history. An incompetent ruler breeds a nation's disaster, and the Ming were eventually overthrown by rebels, and then then like those rebels were more or less taken out by the peoples of Manchu, who founded the Qing dynasty.
なるほどなるほど。
But our buddy here, he did not die off. He did not die along with the emperor or anything like that.
what, did he just sort of screw off to Japan? Because that's what I would have done, honestly. Like if I'm a general serving under the Ming and like that writing goes on the wall, I'd just be like, all right, Japan it is, buddy.
Well, historically, he came very, very close to kicking the Manchu out. He almost actually cut them off from their supply lines and everything like that.
Wow. That
And,
is
like, if it-
quite a feat with how little materiel he must have had at that point in history. Like I'm not familiar with this cat, but I'm familiar with the larger motions of the campaign.
にわかに信用されまいことは分かっている。
It's sort of interesting because after everything that sort of happened there, like when it became very apparent that he just wasn't able to like finish the job, he went on to basically look around and say, well, what can I do? Like, because obviously, like, I'm in a bit of a pickle here, and I suppose I've been talking over a lot of the interesting stuff, but he's a very amicable sort. You're actually going to be learning who Archer is like this episode, and I almost guarantee you're going to recognize the name as soon as it's said. So this should be good. So yeah,
Alright,
like
then.
yeah, very willing to just straight up reveal.
Not much of a secret, I suppose.
Well, I mean, if you learn who this character is, it does make a lot easier to deal with them.
もちろん偽るつもりもない。腹を割ってみせるというのはこういうことだ。
Archer's pretty cool. Actually, they're both kind of cool.
Yeah, like that's a pretty straight shooter there, which I suppose is appropriate for an
力
archer.
を合わせ何をなす。
蛇を倒す。
I wish to kill a snake. All right, the assassin.
Yep.
Yeah.
So while we were dealing with our problems, these two were stuck dealing with assassin.
単独ではどうにも仕留めきれずに
And,
待っていてな。
An assassin is not an easy thing to try and face, for a variety of reasons. I'll finish the historical talk about the character in a bit. I kind of have just sort of
そこに
ignored the story that we've got going on in front of us, but at the very least, I've given everyone a good sort of baseline. It's kind of
Yeah,
funny.
yeah,
it's
it's
kind of funny
definitely.
actually what he ends up doing afterwards, because in relation to like things that happen in this game.
その鉄の雨をもってしても打ち破れぬ相手だと。
口惜しいがその通り。奴は一筋縄ではいかん相手だ。
Not helpful when you can just sort of like throw down some gang signs and literally drop a log where
大
you
量
used
の
to be.
毒蛇大蛇を操り
And the log is full of poison and snakes, and the snakes have poison.
一匹の蛇毒も強力だ。奴一気に俺の配下は大
Yeah, so he hasn't come alone. He's got a lot of retainers and workers with him, but unfortunately, they don't really help so much in the face of, you know, assassins.
あれを繰り返されては
Pretty much it's a thing all most assassins get, is the skill known as presence concealment, and it basically makes it so that you won't really know they're coming until they're directly on top of you.
なぜアサシンと言い切る
How could you be so certain it's assassins? Seriously? Are you joking? Are you serious? Alright, fine.
Well, I mean, it could be a caster that just throws snakes at people.
Yeah, I suppose he doesn't have the benefit of what we saw when his master was throwing down with him.
But yeah, they talk about presence concealment, and that's pretty much all the assassins have this. It allows them to get up and close. There are ways to detect them, but it ain't easy. And usually they're skilled enough to get around them.
なるほど厄介そうな相手だ
Certainly sound difficult to deal with. Alright, sure. The most plain-ass generic statement on the planet, but I can't blame you for being guarded.
ヘビか
Saber
That's right, everybody. Saber's true name is Indiana Jones.
I was gonna say, like, if I start seeing a pathological fear of snakes, I'm never going to stop telling dumbass jokes.
イオリはどうだヘビの木に心当たりは
さっぱりだ妖物魔物の類にはとんと縁がない
Well, if we're going to be honest, there's quite a few famous snakes
Yeah, I was gonna say,
in Japanese mythology.
You want 1 page or 10 there, Saber, because those are 2 separate reports.
意外だな
そういうものなのか
そういうものではないのか
なんだ
I'm glad he said it, because I was about to say it.
わからぬものをいくら考えても時の無駄だかくいう俺も邪界の言い伝えについては増えてだともかく協力共闘を申し込む理由は以上だ奴を倒すにせよ正体を
Basically, even if I lose the waxing moon ritual and get owned, I want that guy to not outlive me.
俺とアーチャーの一組では少しばかり荷が重い何しろ江戸は広い
Assassin also gets the advantages of the more intelligence they get on you, the easier it is for them to come at you again and again and again, no matter how much you prepare for them.
おおむね話は分かっただが
Word got around that you're gullible.
Yeah, no, well, you know, apparently you really like working with everyone.
簡単な話だお前を見てこれだ
Yeah, sure, man. Alright.
お前にはきっと俺と同じものが見えているそう感じたそれだけさ
Trust me, bro, I'm serious. That just makes me trust you less.
単純に考えてもいいかもしれんぞ
It's hard to go into something like it's more understandable with the Dayu because Musashi was present, right? It's kind of like, yeah, this is somebody I know. This is a complete stranger being like, hey, let's hang out.
イオリ
There was a moment of rapport building between the two of them earlier on when Iori was basically like, yeah, I could tell right away you were a military man.
Yeah.
And, you know, that respect undoubtedly is mutual, but still, that's a pretty flimsy pillar to base a friendship on. But we're gonna do this anyway.
飲むぞ飲んだのだから神明だアーチャー
構わないなマスター
無論もったいつけずに
Here we go.
Being so dramatic.
ああでは我が神明周公金孫家の神だみだりに口にはしてくれるなよ
Three Kingdoms
周公記
period person?
大陸は孫悟の軍師
Okay, yeah, I was gonna say Zhou! Okay, cool.
Yes.
All right, sure.
Yes, one of the architects of the Great Red Cliff Massacre.
Yeah, it's just like, wait, isn't that the formal name for the courtesy name of Zhou Yu? All right, cool. Now I'm following you. All right.
Yes, for those who don't know, Zhou Yu helped orchestrate an attack which basically ensured the Three Kingdoms even happened. Because at the time, Cao Cao was pushing so hard and so effortlessly over everybody, it didn't seem like he was going to be able to stop. And it was only until he tried to take an army that was extremely untrained in traveling or fighting on water that Zhou and Co managed to create a situation that completely turned things around and forced Cao Cao into like a full retreat that that ultimately led to basically the establishment of the Three Kingdoms.
Yup, Zhou Yu basically bought Liu Bei and Sun Jian the time they needed to actually secure their own kingdoms, because if Cao Cao hadn't been stopped at that mountain pass, that would have definitely been it for at least Sun Jian. Like, maybe Liu Bei could have gotten something together, but, you know...
He was basically running like a few steps ahead of Cao Cao, chasing him most of that time. So like,
yeah, Liu Bei was in a really bad position there, and his entire base of legitimacy basically took time for people to buy. Yeah, no, I'm the person who's looking to restore the rightful rulers and so forth. You know, that was an entire narrative he had to sell. Tonight we drink the good stuff. Alright.
So yeah, like Cao Cao, you know, basically was bringing troops in who, like, with extremely stretched supply lines. Most of the dudes he had with him weren't locals, so they didn't know the area, they didn't know the boats. They weren't used to fighting or traveling on boats down these very large rivers, and so seasickness was a big problem. So he had all these big boats chained together, and that made it easier for Zhou Yu and Co to... Essentially what they did was they had one guy who was on a sort of commanded a port that was along the way, pretend to defect to Cao Cao's forces, sail his ships towards them, set the ships on fire, and crash them into Cao Cao's fleet, which, being chained together so that they wouldn't rock around so much, meant they also couldn't maneuver to escape getting rammed by boats that were on fire. And then flaming arrows happened, and people just drowned because they couldn't swim.
If you've ever played one of the Romance of the Three Kingdom Musu games, this particular level shows up a lot, but Zhou Yu usually gets his contributions nosed out by the actual wizardry of Zhuge Liang in those levels. Like, the way it happened historically, yes, Zhuge Liang was a huge portion of setting it up and everything, but Zhou Yu was every bit as critical.
地層になったかたじけない。
なーに気にするな。お前たちの健談ぶり、クリアの者も喜んでいたぞ。
Chinese banquets are certainly something.
Oh
man, good
yeah, I
crap.
I wouldn't disagree.
You can get, like, one of the beautiful things of the modern day and age is that you can get a pretty good idea of what Iori and Saber just experienced. Just go to dim sum at an upper tier Chinese restaurant. That's pretty close to what just happened there. More than likely, just go get dim sum. You'll frickin' love it if you have any appreciation for food at all.
So our new buddy here has sort of slipped out a little bit of information. He's actually half Japanese as well. He was born to a Japanese mother, Chinese father. It was only until he was a bit older he traveled to China and he took one of those they call it the imperial examination, which is basically how they tried to keep like good talent flowing in from outside rather than just the administration just becoming a weird incestuous sort of nepotistic organization in the imperial court. And it resulted in him getting selected, and you know, and basically just became an ally of the Ming dynasty in the southern parts of China. And you know, when that didn't work out, he was like, well, where do I go? Like, this is kind of rough.
これはありがたい
And he decided that he would make use of a Dutch colony island that existed off the coast of China that was being called Formosa at the time. The Chinese had been happy to let the Dutch have it initially. The indigenous people, they didn't consider them Chinese. They had no interest in the territory or anything. And the Prince of Yanping was like, well, I mean, we need it now, so you guys can leave. And violently expelled with the aid of the indigenous population, who were like, wow, being under the Dutch, the East Indian Trade Company, at least the East Indian Company, kind of really sucks. And so they just turfed them out really hard. And the governor, Frederick Doreto, had to basically flee for his life. He had, like, I think it was like 2 messages. The first one was, these silly Chinese are so effeminate, their men are so weak, there's no way they could defeat us, we're all good. And then the next one was, the fort has fallen, I am fleeing for my life.
Running for my life. Instant regret.txt.
まず
Yeah, as a result, our boy here, he's actually quite popular in 3 different locations. He's quite popular in Japan because he made it big in China. He's quite popular in China for his loyalty to the cause, and also his work expelling foreigners from territory that they claim is theirs. And he's also really popular on the island of Formosa, now renamed to Taiwan.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. Taiwan nowadays.
Yeah, I was buried the lead a little bit there, so you can imagine
A little
the people.
bit, a little bit, buddy.
あとは
But yeah, he's given us some nice little mystic codes there. He's given us like essentially the magical equivalent of like little hologram projectors, so we'll be able to have long range conversations with him.
Call me on my cell phone.
限られた
It's a little more effective than trying to go in to talk to somebody and having to get past the rogue berserker at the gate.
Christ.
役に立つだろう
And then realizing that no, that's never going to actually work. It's really just you dabbing on Rogue Berserker.
大した術者だったか貴殿。
そう言われるのは嬉しいがかじった程度だあまり期待してくれるなまはっきり言って俺自身の技量は並だ
なんだそうか。いおりと似たようなものというわけか。
What's that supposed to mean, Saber?
Well, Saber, Iori's only really dabbling in the mystic arts too. He hasn't really started taking this seriously until, this has all happened.
最後に一つ忠告しておく英月の義の要は霊脈だ忘れるな
Absolutely.
霊脈を
Yeah, incidentally, Robokai was talking about something pretty important, but when he said my wishes for the restoration of the Ming, I made the most tortured grumbling noise. It's worth noting that Robokai and I aren't messing around when we were talking about the Ming being really bad for China as a whole, because one of the more famous misadventures of the Ming was organizing a giant trade mission from China over to southern Africa. I believe it was Madagascar, actually. And they loaded the ships with everything from tigers to giraffes, not because they intended to trade these things, but just because they wanted to show off how cool they were. And after bumbling around and failing to make a profit when you went on a trade mission without things to trade, in a fit of pique, the Ming Emperor at the time just forbade anybody from trading with foreigners at all. Just that's it. It's done. Nobody gets to make money trading with anybody now. And it was just like, oh my god, are you effing serious? Like what did you expect? What did you expect? Like mismanaging your economy and your nation that fucking bad.
He did all of the things. It's like you look into like there's a bingo list of things rulers do that usually leads along to their downfall. Things like getting your most popular general amongst your soldiery and recalling him from the lines where he was fighting and then berating him. And I think he I don't know if he had the same one or another one executed and just like refusing to like properly pay his his guards and his soldiers.
Yeah.
And it was just like, oh my god, how are you?
You know how a lot of Caesars got Caesared and stabbed by their Praetorian guard because they were like abusing the guards and not paying them. Yeah, that sort of shit happened a lot in the Ming Dynasty.
Yeah, he also had a lot of eunuchs abusing their power. It's like you think they would have learned by this point to stop letting the eunuchs abuse their power, but I guess that's a weak emperor thing. But basically, it all culminated with one of the funniest things I read about it, which is basically that when the Manchu moved in and formed the Qing dynasty, they were like, it was actually really easy for them to do, because typically what happens when, you know, your capital is threatened, your imperial capital is threatened, you move, you go somewhere else. Like the Ming attempted to establish a new one, but they didn't get to move their administration. You know, all of the paperwork and everything that the Chinese were always very known for being very dutiful and proper with, all remained there. So it was actually really easy to start over, because everyone was like, well, we've already got, like, you know, all the previous tax records, census and everything like that. You know, like, all the details, payment, everything that's sort of organized. So we already know everything we need to know. We've got, like, full-on references. So it was actually really easy for the Qing dynasty to sort of launch off from there. because the Ming emperor was just like, I'm not leaving. And so nobody's leaving. And then when finally it was basically the gates were being knocked on, he just went and killed himself.
I'm not leaving here alive. Your proposal is acceptable.
It was just like, ugh.
Also, that lovely exchange between Iori and Saber, where Iori was right about something, but Saber couldn't let him have it. Just could not let him have it. Boo.
Just boo yourself.
He's not having it right back. Don't boo me.
It's kind of funny though, because we could leave, but there's a digression right here, right now, for us to do. It's like, if you want to take a break from the talkie, you can, but we're gonna keep talking, because there's some things to learn, and also we're gonna get to play a little scenario as our two new Chinese friends. And it does help explain why exactly, even though, you know, he's still technically a foreigner. He's like allegiances to a foreign empire. Like, how he got such a really nice place.
Yeah, a benefactor would have to be involved. I'm pretty sure, though I'm not 100% sure, that the Tokugawas were like didn't allow foreigners to hold more than like an apartment style of land, like a large mansion like this. There's no way a Chinese national would have been permitted to own this amount of land.
我が主に尋ねたいことがあるようだが。
今のうちに聞け。可能な限り懸念は除いておこう。
では遠慮なく。猿お方とは。
Right to the heart of the matter.
Yep, that's a good question.
貴殿を江戸に迎え入れ、さらには。
Yep, Iori confirming what I was saying.
Well, I mean, anybody who understands the era would be like, well, okay, how the hell is this guy here? Like, be the first question any of them would have. So, they thought about it.
確かに俺には後ろ盾があるが、むしろ逆だ。
Not what you think, he says right before he says.
義に深く関わる幕府の者たちを快く思ってはいない。
Yes. He's a fly in the ointment, basically.
This is going to be a long story. Well, buddy, you just fed us, so we've got time.
Yeah.
キーの南流港。俺がここにいるのは、あのお方の力によるものだ。
キーの南流港。
Oh, Yorinobu Tokugawa. Okay, okay.
Yeah, because obviously there is one Tokugawa who gets to be the shogun, but there's a whole line of successors and other people within the family who would wield considerable political power.
我が悲願の何たるかを知る公は
And so, in this particular case, we've got one, the Yorinobu, and he wants to ensure that this does not go quite so well that, you know, something comes out of it like the shogunate declaring himself immortal or something like that as a result of a wish. It's like, well, I don't want your family, being in charge forever. I feel like that would be a bad idea.
それでテイはそやつに何を返す
Saber also cutting to the heart of the
ば
matter.
かりというのはありえまいどんな働きをして返すのだ
ああ、それはな、すでに返しているとも言えるかな。
ふん
英月の儀に深く関わっている者はおそらく将軍その人。
Yeah, we've determined that
あるいは
much.
その側近だろう。となればまあ話は早い。こうは将軍の目論見を邪魔してやりたいのさ。
That was like I was saying, basically.
Yep. Even like this sort of thing also happens or happened. You're playing Crusader Kings 2. There's this one really tortured immortality plot that you can get, and it's very unlikely that that'll succeed. Even if it does, you're just like, hey, this is super cool. My like awesome ruler is immortal. After they hit a chronological age of about 100 or so, everybody starts recognizing that they're immortal and just like progressively hating them because they've been ruling too long and nobody wants this anymore.
And they'd like, they'd like a fresh coat of paint on there.
Yeah, like it's one of those things where, hey, you beat death itself. Now everybody around you is mad about it.
Because it's going to be impossible to get rid of you, and some of them would like to build their own dynasties. Yeah, so now we're doing a flashback.
平戸や長崎とはまた違った趣がある。
マスター、久方ぶりの小国に喜ぶのはいいが、あまり大声を出さないように。
おっとすまん。気をつけよう。にしてもこの町。
He really just does have like Shonen protagonist vibes to him.
He really does, like especially the fact that everything he does is loud, everything he does is big.
And yes, we know everything about Zhou, so we also have access as we play as him in fights to his noble phantasm fire ship afloat. And we get a bit of food. It's actually kind of funny. You can't look at. Hold on a second. Sorry, there's something really important we have to do before we go in there.
Okay, it's a cat. I couldn't tell at a glance whether it was a cat or a dog, but regardless, it needs to be pet.
Doesn't even question. Everybody just goes in for the pet.
No, like both of them are just like, yep, that's a cat. We need to pet.
Mm-hmm. I won't bother going down there because there's nothing down there. But we'll visit there once we're done with the digression in the next video. Because we're just playing out this scenario right now.
Oni-B doing Oni-B things. News at 11.
Yeah, well, we're at a font, so the monsters are going to want to eat the font. And yeah, so we walk around as the prince, but we play as Zhou. And of course, as an archer, he has a lot of long-range abilities. He can shoot barrages. He actually has, so he can basically just shoot over and over again, which is pretty cool.
Whole new meaning to knock a cat up there.
Yeah, he's got like a tornado that sucks everybody in.
Nice.
Which is really cool. He can shoot waves of fire off as well, so he can pace it. And he has this amazing, let's call it a shotgun blast, where basically he fires off 3 very close range flurries. Which I will use to finish off a lot of people, because it's actually... There we go. Like, that's much shorter range,
son.
but it shotgun blasts everything, so...
Right, good night, sleep tight, see you in hell.
He's very good for killing mobs of monsters, basically.
Alright, homie got his priorities in order. I can vibe with attacked man.
わかった。あんたはここで待っていろ。
待て、マスター。
Yes, I believe this is probably the first instance of master and servant fighting together as well. So this is sort of like a, like an introduction for them to one another as well.
Oh, you mean in terms of them, like them getting to know each other? I was like, I'm pretty sure we've been fighting with Saber for a while.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about these two.
Yeah,
This is kind of them. This is their first sort of combat instance.
Yeah, this is their first rodeo. Got it. Dog!
霊脈に引き寄せられている。遊ぼうか。怖くないぞ。
It's very important to pet dogs.
Extremely important to pet these dogs.
I suppose I should probably put a ribbon on the entirety of the life of Kosenya. He would eventually he would take Formosa and
なんともまあ。
basically became a very worrying threat for a lot of close by regions in Southeast Asia. Like the Spanish apparently like completely rewrote all of their colonization plans for that region because like they were a bit worried he was going to invade the Philippines.
伊賀の戦力くらい測ってる。
And he was.
He was thinking, yeah, he was probably thinking about it.
お前がいれば負ける道理の
But he unfortunately he caught malaria and
決まって
died.
いる以上無駄な問答をする必要もあるまいよ。
That happened to Prince and Pauper alike, a unfortunate amount back in those days.
勝ちたいのならば、まず己の命を尊ぶのだ。命を失う。
And eventually it was annexed and sort of flopped back into the hold of the Qing dynasty. But
人々が死ぬのは嫌いだ。
for a while there.
Oh, hey. I was wondering if we were gonna get to a big guy, because... Oh, that's a cool repost.
Yeah, just hop back and give him the spice.
Point blank shot.
I mean, look at I'm barely even using some of the wackiest stuff. That's a great interrupter. Any attack that does long range interrupts of enemy attacks is really good.
奥の手だ。焼き払え。
This is Rain of Arrows. Again, it's another really good one.
Holy mother, that hit like a train.
Yeah, it just keeps going too.
Okay, so that's that problem taken care of.
他にも襲われている者がいるかもしれん。
ここまで振り回す。
The two affinity point attack's kind of a bit weirder though because it's close range. He pulls out a staff and sort of swings it around. That's just kind of like, well, hold on a second.
That's a little out of character, yeah.
But it also does like a giant big field of fire, so it's pretty potent.
Literally taking a detour just to pet a cat. I approve.
Yeah, no, I told everybody at the start of this Let's Play that I was going to pet literally every cat. I don't care if these cats only exist in like flashbacks. I will pet these cats. I don't care if my health is full. I will pet these cats.
All
and
dogs
these
are good dogs. All cats, well, not all cats are good cats. A lot of cats are assholes, but these cats are good cats.
この先だな。行くぞ、アーチャー。参ったな。この炎。沈めようにも俺の魔術では。
ならば、私が行こう。お前は他の者たちを助けてやれ。
I can't help but look at Zhou's face and consider him to have an eternally sly smirk.
都督であった頃の私
He
が
definitely has that vibe
切
to
り
him.
捨てろと言った。
Yeah, like that's
とにかく
well scouted for the man that he was. So I can't mess with it.
テイメイゲン、お前にならば私が死の際に抱いた願いを託せるかもしれん。よかろう。
Noble Phantasm time.
無限の賭け受けるがいい。突撃合戦。焼け落ちろ。
Sort of one of the funny quirks of the Fate franchise is how un-archer-like archers are for a lot of them. You might wonder what I mean by that, but it's just like, out of all
I am
of
in
the
fact wondering what you mean by that.
out of all of the all of the 7 classes, Archer is the one that quite often have someone be like, "Yes, I'm an archer," and they're like, "Well, oh, okay, so you use like a bow or a gun," and like, "I use a lance." And it's like, now hold on a second, why are you an archer? Ah, well, you see, I have this thing in the chest of my armor which shoots a giant fucking laser beam. It's just like,
Okay, sure.
well, because even like the original Fate Stay Night Archer, this is so funny. He fights Lancer, and Lancer's like, oh well, this should be fine. This should be easy. Like, you know, these guys are only really good at fighting at long range. And Archer just pulls out swords and starts fighting him. And he's like, I'm sorry, excuse me, what? And like, not just that, but like, Archer in Fate Stay Night is able to create any weapon he wants. He makes like he can like just create replicas as he goes. So yeah, he can use a bow if he wants to, and he does sometimes. But like, he fucking just like makes swords and all sorts spears and all sorts of other weapons as he goes. It's like, how are you an archer?
Because the universe is capricious, I suppose.
Yeah. But by that same token, it's like in this particular case, it's a very fitting archer. And you can sort of see his noble phantasm actually really sort of recreated the scenery.
Right. You know, that was basically the moment where we were talking about, like, where you can see in a lot of the Musu games, like, they very frequently make a point of making that like an act-breaker, a huge fight, because it was absolutely an amazingly decisive battle in Chinese history.
Yeah. So it is worth noting that there are abilities in Magecraft that allow you to sort of encase an area in a different reality for a brief period of time. They're called they're basically just called, I think they're called reality marbles. And obviously, the larger and more altering they are, the more difficult it is to for them to be sustained and to sustain themselves. So Zhou is basically creating a reality marble just large enough to recreate the Red Cliffs massacre. And we'll see that in like excruciating detail later on as well. It gets like an entire amazing scene for it, so look forward to that. And it's worth noting the original Archer of Fate Stay Night as well had a reality marble called Unlimited Blade Works. Which is famous for it being in like hilarious English, and also basically him just taking someone to like a reality marble full of like 1,000,000 replica swords that he then just like throws all at once at somebody. And that's why it's called Unlimited Blade Works, because they're all of the blades he's made, and he's throwing an unlimited number of them at you. Dear. Fate Stay Night Archer is like several Wikipedia articles.
Yeah, no joke.
of information about that character, and he's not even like a real historical character.
Having difficulty figuring out where the hell to start unpacking all that.
Yeah, that's why Fate is just like, it's so hard to explain to people. Like Fate Samurai Remnant does things in a lot clearer and simpler manner. You know, the archer has a bow. Everybody's makes sense. The assassin looks like an assassin. Saber has a sword. There's often a joke that a saber is somebody who can shoot like a giant beam out of their weapon.
The like Final Fantasy way of looking at it. Nah, you just cast spells on a weapon, and then there's beam ooze or whatever. Like, it's fine.
Yeah, I was just lucky enough that particular move I was close enough to hit it off. But all of the swings of that stuff actually are attacks as well, so I'll pull it off a little closer to an enemy soon enough.
You know, once this red Oni has been convinced to sit down, I suppose.
I'm in trouble.
Sure.
Just hold it off to the last minute.
Might as well have the haha I'm in danger wave put in there.
And it's just like, let me just remove some problems.
Alright, great. Like one of those problems being the Oni's shield.
Yeah.
Go away, Gaki. Nobody likes you.
Here we go. I'll try and do it now properly. There we go. But yeah, it's a very highly damaging field of fire.
振り回してしま
It's
って
like, guys,
悪かった
like, sorry, I'm used to being a general too. It's kind of hard,
お前の考えがあったよ
kind of telling another general how to do things.
そんな顔をする必要はない。今後も思う存分私を振り回すといいさ。幸運にもそういう主の扱いには慣れているのでな。
The present perfect tense there is doing a lot of work.
Yeah, and we get some stuff for having sat through the stories. Like, here's some-
Cash is richly needed.
ということがあったわけだ。
Yeah, so basically, they've essentially earned their place here by coming in and saving the populace from the demons that are getting summoned as a result of
見
this.
事なものでな。
And so long as he's able to keep doing that, they'll be allowed to stay.
当人の俺や配下たちがだ。にわかには信じられまい。
そう。
I mean, solve a problem for the local lord. Don't be surprised if you get asked to stick around. Like, that seems reasonable enough.
では今の話、どこまで
So it sounds like he reached out to whoever he could reach out to, and the southern Tokugawa was just like,
私もマスターを戦士である前に将や指導者として己を見る。
yeah, a servant with a great degree of general history, or history as a general, is kind of a scary proposition to face.
そういう
Heroes are pretty impressive, but heroes famously fall into pit traps.
暗示をかけてもらっただけで
A general, you know, can be a hero in a lot of ways, but less of a mythical one, and in a lot more other ways, maybe inclined to build the trap you fall into.
The biggest thing that a general will do that a hero will not do, and the most dangerous thing that a general will do that a hero will not do, delegate. Hero's like, I'm gonna do everything myself. Well, if nothing else, you can only affect this small area. Then I can tar pit you if I can use the 40k tabletop term for it. General's a little bit different. Can't really tar pit
願
that
いを
shit.
語る貴殿の顔に。
Yeah, so they were just like, well, what if all of this was a lie? And Iori and Saber were like, nah. Nah, you guys gave us a lot of really nice pork buns. Can't be a
どうや
lie.
ら俺は計りごとの才が薄いらしい。なんとも買われてしまったものだ。だが
And even Saber was like, was that really necessary though? Like,
試すような真似をしてすまない。改めてよろしく頼む。
yeah, so that's pretty much wrapping it up. I didn't get a chance to ask you as well, cool guy, but you did say that this was the last time you were going to try and guess the identity of Boss. So,
Right. So I went back and I looked at all of this stuff, and basically, if this one isn't right, then I like my head is full of fuck and I don't know anymore. So
all right, I'm ready.
Originally, when he started talking about Babylonia, that's when I second guessed myself because my mind went to Nebuchadnezzar, and too many things didn't work out for it to be for specifically Nebuchadnezzar II. Too many things didn't work out. Nebuchadnezzar the second, like I'm sure he had an ego. All rulers do, but generally speaking, his ego wasn't really a thing. He was an administrator. He was very procedural and calculating and blah blah blah. It just wasn't. That wasn't who I was looking at. But when I went to go look at it, just basically to say, okay, who are the other kings of Babylonia that I might not be thinking of? Wikipedia pointed out that Nebuchadnezzar's capital was Uruk, and I was like, fucker. That's when it came back to me that you were just like, oh. You probably already know this cat. The only reason why you would say something like that is if you knew I was already thinking in the right area. And who was the person who is around Ur and Uruk that I had literally mentioned one of the first episodes? Fucking Gilgamesh. Boss has got to be Gilgamesh.
And that is correct. Boss is in fact the king of heroes, Gilgamesh. So we'll definitely sink in and talk a lot more about
Fucking
Gilgamesh.
knew it.
as both a historical, mythological, and fate character. Next time, I'm glad we got there. I'm glad we got there on guess number 3 because you were ready to give up then.
I was so mad. I was so mad, but
I was 100% going to like say, well, then I will reveal his identity next time and not tell you for like 3 weeks.
Not like once I started pulling the Babylonia thread. Like it was the city connection that got me. I was just like, son of a bitch. That's got to be it. That's got to be it. There's no way it can't be it.
Yep. No, everyone's going to be very glad you finally got it in the end.
Ugh.
So, yeah, thanks everyone for sticking with us for the guess at the end. And, yeah, next time, I guess, well, we're basically going to be doing something similar to what we were doing last time. Last time we were looking for, Yui Shousetsu. This time we're going to be looking for Assassin and Assassin's Master, which means traveling to new locations and meeting some more characters, and a few more rogue servants along the way as well, including... we talked about Gilgamesh being a pretty foundationally important character. Well, in the coming episodes, I don't know if it's the next episode or the one after, we will be meeting another fairly important Fate Stay Night character as well. But yeah, that'll be then. I haven't actually recorded the gameplay for that, so we'll find out soon. So I've been the last Robokai.
And I have been Cool Guy.
And we'll see y'all next time.